What's going on, guys? I really don't even feel like talking right now. But as I promised you guys, um, I'm suspending all regular programming formats here and on other platforms for continuous coverage of all issues, events, and stories, both directly and indirectly, regarding this coronavirus panic that has sent not only the world, but now the United States into a tailspin of chaos. Now, as you know, um, I've already made several videos about this, and attacked several different, I've addressed several different angles of this. And over the course of the last week, like most people, I don't have all the answers. I don't have any of the answers. I don't pretend to know one way or the other. Um I'm well, I won't say I'm as confused about this as everyone else, but I'm as in the dark about what's really behind this as everyone else. Although I do have a bit of an advantage more than other people because my Marlboro Man mindset enables me, unlike most people, to think outside of herd mentality. And see, what I mean by that is, while most people are thinking about hemming in, and obeying the orders of these government officials, I'm thinking about running out. You know, I bought a lot of water, but the majority of what I've bought are things to be able to survive out in the wilderness. Um, I am still deciding when I'm gonna go camping, quote unquote. I do have some concerns about that, and especially if they, shut down interstate travel, or they shut down travel in the United States, which should be close to impossible, especially when you consider the state highways. There's no way they should be able to enforce that unless they violate posse comitatus and bring the military in, which we're going to talk about here in a second. That should be unenforceable. But um, because I live in the same place where I run my business operations out of, um, I have a lot of supplies there, and I'm a little concerned about being cut off from my supply chain in the case I have to come back and restock. No, none of us really, even the conspiracy theorists, everybody, a lot of people have talked about things, their different theories. Um, you know, is this really just is this a really a broad overreaction by the public, the government authorities at the local, state, and federal level? Um, is this virus a real threat, or is this part of a broader, more sinister plan? But the truth be told, nobody was really ready for this. I mean, what's going on now, and I don't just mean with this coronavirus, with things shutting down, with authorities telling people what to do, um, or else. I mean, this has come about as suddenly as September 11th, um, 19 years ago. I mean, it really just hit us like a plane hitting a building on a clear blue sky. Um, you know, and there are several things that concern me here. Obviously, the virus to some extent concerns me, but to be honest with you, the virus right now is the least of my concerns, especially since they're saying that it seems to be targeting mostly elderly people. Um, so I don't know how many of you guys have heard, but there is a shelter in place order in San Francisco, and the greater San Francisco area, not just downtown and San Francisco immediate, city. I think Vallejo County, San Mateo, those of you from the San Francisco and Oakland area, they issued a shelter in place order. I believe that was yesterday. And the greater San Francisco area, California is the largest state in the union population wise. I think the grand total of the greater San Francisco area is somewhere, I read somewhere between 6.7 to 9 million people are being ordered to stay in their homes. Now, you know that yesterday Donald Trump and the public officials and the so-called health officials, they issued a strong recommendation that people stay in their homes. I can tell you from where I am, in my immediate area, that nobody is, taking heed to that. People with vehicles are out. I've even seen old folks walking around. But it is now not only a shelter in place order, a lockdown in San Francisco, it is now an arrestable offense to leave your home without permission. Now, see, a lot of Negroes don't want to think for themselves. They want somebody to tell them, and this is what gets a lot of people, okay? Whether you're talking about in history's past or in this country or whatever, most people, especially in times of turmoil, they want others to tell them it's going to be okay. They want others to tell them, what to do. Just like a baby or a child that's upset, and the parent is, picking them up and rubbing their head and consoling them and assuring them that it's going to be okay. And this is one of the many, many things that concerns me. Okay. I typed in Civil Liberties Union today, and the only thing I saw as a headline for the Civil Liberties Union is them talking about people still, in spite of the coronavirus, going out to vote. Not even lawyers that claim to be dedicated to protecting the constitutional rights and civil liberties of American citizens are questioning these directives and these orders that are being handed down by local and state officials, not just in San Francisco, but in other cities as well. Nobody's questioning this, not even bloodthirsty lawyers. I mean, do you know how many lawsuits challenging this shit should be going out right now? Why isn't it going out? Because lawyers, like most other people, are sheep. Okay? The media, there are several things that I've learned within the past 2 weeks. One of the things, especially within the last week, one of the things I've learned is who controls this world. Now, I can't tell you precisely who's behind who controls this world, but I can tell you precisely who controls this fucking world. Most of you would say the government or the elites, and the elites is a broad category of, who's who or who's what. But I know for sure who controls this world now. The motherfucking mass media controls this world. It was the media who first told us that something was going on in Wuhan, China. It was the media that first told us that, it's spreading out of China, and now there's a pandemic in Europe. And now it's the media broadcasting these people and showing these scenes, trying to make it seem like all of America is in a panic. And that is setting off a domino effect that has so-called authorities. And that word right now is starting to worry me more than it ever has before. authorities. It has authorities in a panic, thinking that the rest of the world and the United States is in a panic. Yet, when you go out, yes, people are buying stuff off shelves more than they have before. But there's still plenty of people walking around without face masks, living their lives. It's not bedlam. So, I realize that the media, whether this virus is a true threat to mankind or not, the media has stirred all of this up. Now, the question is, who is behind the media? And the other question is what we're seeing right now, the grant, and I made a community post about this earlier. And I apologize if it seems like I'm jumping all over the place, because my mind is going in a million different directions right now. I will admit to you, I am a little scared, because I don't know exactly what to be more concerned about. Should I be more concerned about this virus, or should I be more concerned about what the government is doing, not just at the federal level, but at the local and state levels? See, these anti-government people, these conspiracy people like Alex Jones, they talk for decades since JFK's assassination about, the conspiracies of the CIA and the FBI. Most of the focus of anti-government and conspiracy theorists is on what the federal government, the national government, is doing. But all of these directives and orders, and now it being an arrestable offense in San Francisco, all of this is happening at the local and state levels. This is happening at local and state levels, and not even the organizations that claim to defend civil liberties and constitutional rights of the American people. The NRA isn't saying anything about this. The Civil Liberties Union isn't saying anything about this. The NAACP isn't saying anything about this. Okay? And that's either because they're part of the plot, if there is a plot, or because they're just as shook as everybody else. Now, I want, because, again, there's a million things going through my mind. Okay? There's a million things going through my mind. But I want to help you guys understand my concern here. Okay? So I'm going to be as liberal, and that may sound strange coming from me. Right now, I'm going to be as liberally open-minded as possible in this. Let's just say, not even saying that we have to go out on a limb. Let's say that this was an act of nature, an evil act of nature, that some stupid motherfucker in China was eating something or having sex with something or doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, and they contracted a pathogen that mutated from an animal host or off the ground or off the bottom of somebody's shoe or some chewed gum that got, germs on it or whatever, and it jumped into their bodies and mutated to infect a human host. And this human host, unknowing to them, before they got sick, they began to infect other hosts. And then these human hosts, they, went home and infected other hosts, and then they went to school and infected people. They went to the grocery store and infected people. And some of these people, they became foreign exchange students, jumped on planes or went to business meetings and jumped on planes, flew to different parts of the world and started infecting people all over the fucking place. Let's just say that that's exactly what happened. And let's just say that there really was a serious outbreak in Wuhan, China, act of nature, and an act of somebody's fucking stupidity, or maybe it was an accident. And this has nothing to do with any government conspiracy whatsoever. Okay? Let's say that, the smart people in the medical field are, have been looking at this and comparing it to what they saw 102 years ago in the Spanish flu of 1918, and they are legitimately worried with their so-called little models that this could really get out of control like the Spanish flu of 1918, because they're saying that there's two threats with the coronavirus. They keep bringing up elderly people, but they're claiming that the two main threats, and I've heard the second possibility just recently within the last 24 hours, is that one, the threat to this about this virus is not killing off elderly people. The threat is that if it intertwines itself, if it normalizes itself and colonizes itself inside of human bodies, it could mutate and turn into something like a Spanish flu or a bubonic plague, which was actually bacteria. Or even as big of a threat, it could jump hosts again, assuming it jumped hosts in the first place and wasn't invented in a fucking laboratory somewhere in Area 51. It could jump hosts from humans to animals and threaten the world's livestock, threaten the world's food supply, which would be as big of a deal if it became a global killer to human beings as if it became a global killer to animals that we eat for our food. Okay? Let's just say that this is an act of nature. Let's just say the media and the news people, they have a legitimate reason to be concerned here. Even if that is the case, history has shown us, in spite of, nobody wants to die, nobody wants to get sick, nobody wants, their family members to lose their family members to something like this or anything. But when these types of events have happened in human history in the past, the human race survived them and got past them. They took a heavy toll, yes. Here's my concern, especially in the United States of America. I can see what's happening anywhere else but here in the United States, where we have a constitution and a Bill of Rights that gives us certain rights and freedoms as American citizens. If panic and fear is causing officials to overhype this or over exaggerate this to where they're locking everything down, and now you have an entire major city on orders to shelter in place, to lock down. Even if this isn't some sinister plot to establish a global police state, aka New World Order, even if this isn't a sinister plot, am I the only sane person that sees that what is quickly, I can't even say slowly but surely, what is quickly unfolding across the United States is the blueprint for how the elites and the powers that be and the governments can take over the world and take over the fucking population if they want to. This is what is my biggest concern. Nobody knows what is really going on now. Maybe this is a real pandemic. But what would happen if we actually got sinister people? We know that evil people exist in this world. You don't believe me? Just turn on the news. People get murdered, raped, kidnapped every day on a local level. Nobody really thinks a person like Adolf Hitler or, any of a number of individuals or groups could ever rise to power again. But let's just say that somebody like that did come to power again one day, or a series of those people across the world got together. Do you not understand that if they didn't before, and I'm sure they did, they have the perfect blueprint on how they can turn the entire world, including the United States, into sheep and surround people before they know what the fuck is going on? They have the perfect blueprint as to how they can entrap people in these cities if they ever do want to, implement some type of population control where they spray something over the city, like a chemical agent or a biological agent. Does anybody not realize that? I mean, you're talking about, the mayor in my city, they passed a referendum giving the mayor powers of martial law to seize property and ban gun sales. That is a direct violation of the Second Amendment and certain bills of rights. Okay? In San Francisco, this may be an emergency order, but then when I hear stuff like you can't leave the house without their permission, if you violate the order, it will be considered a misdemeanor, which could be punishable by a fine or even jail time. I mean, people really need to start questioning this. Even if, and the reason why I'm backing off a little bit, that this is the big kahuna, as I would call it, and maybe this is either a dry run or look, let me tell y'all something. I don't know what the fuck is going on for sure. One thing I do know, either A, this is a dry run for future plans, and maybe future plans to come soon. Maybe this is a test run. Or B, this is the greatest over exaggeration to a global incident in the history of modern times. Okay? Because it's not like we haven't had pandemics and disease outbreaks before. These people are really fucking tripping. And they got the whole world, including myself, really fucking tripping. Okay? I'm going out buying axes and life jackets and shit. I'm not thinking about sheltering in place. I'm thinking about getting the fuck out. Because I don't really know. And this is another thing that really concerns me. Okay? And I don't know if I'm going to close with this or not, because there was something else that I wanted to say. This is something else that greatly, greatly, greatly concerns me. Okay? The fact is, most people have been living in a controlled shell all their lives and don't even realize it. We make laws to protect children against sexual and physical abuse. Yet we justify the murder of unborn children, unborn humans, to the tunes of tens of millions in this country, and even hundreds of millions more around the world every single year. It's estimated there are 900 abortions in this country every day. That's several times more than murders every week. Okay? I'm seeing a combination of things that could potentially come together to spark what a lot of conspiracy theorists and even religious zealots consider not just the New World Order, but the apocalypse. Okay? And maybe it's because I'm smart, or maybe it's just because I have anxiety disorder. Maybe it's just because I have the ability to see several steps ahead, like I've told y'all with the black issues that, I frequently talk about. But on the one hand, you have a so-called civilization that has normalized in the minds of its citizens not only the murdering and dismembering of unborn fetuses, babies in the womb, crushing the skulls of babies in the wombs of women, but defending this cruel death. They say that the fetus is not aware, but how the hell do you know? How do you know? Even if that's true, I mean, if you've ever looked at some of the photos of, the aftermath of some of these abortions, you can clearly look and see and say, that's an infant. That's an unborn infant. Even at 6 months, some of them look like infants. Okay? If we can normalize and justify killing humans in the womb, given what's going on right now, and there's a history to this, because San Francisco was also the first one to lock down after the Spanish flu outbreak 102 years ago in 1918, there were actually instances of police officers, as you can see in this article, shooting people in the streets that violated the wear your mask order. Okay? And nobody questioned this, not even the lawyers, not even the courts, because everybody is human. And if you can appeal to that fear side of human beings, you basically do what that guy said in that movie. I forget the name of it. I believe it was a movie with Shia LaBeouf. I forget the name of it though. But he looked at the dude and he said, "You can never act scared in front of those mobsters again." And he said, "But they had guns." He said, "I don't care. You let them blow your fucking head off next time." He said, "Because we in this town, we have to control the fear." He grabbed him by his shirt. They had just kicked this dude's ass, bloodied his face, broke his nose, and his own brother grabbed him by his shirt like he was going to beat his ass again. His own brother had a shotgun shoved in his face and got jumped. And he said, "Don't ever show cowardice again. Next time, let them kill you." Yeah, that was the name of it, Lawless, that movie. Next time, let them kill you if you have to. Because in this town, we control the fear. We have to control the fear. If the elites can create, we're going out on a limb because, and the only reason I'm backing off that this is the beginning of the establishment of the New World Order is because the Trump campaign is talking about a stimulus package that's going to put $1,000 cash in every American's pocket. So I'm thinking, if they're shutting things down and they want the world to descend into chaos, why would they be giving people money? To try to resuscitate the world, because essentially what they're doing, if they don't pump money into the economy, into households, what they're doing is they're putting America in a financial cardiac arrest, and they're saying that we're going to try to restart heart functions after the heart has stopped for 2 weeks. Okay, that's the economic cataclysm that we're facing if they don't do what they're talking about doing. So that's why I'm backing off that this is what, again, a lot of religious zealots and conspiracy theorists and anti-government people call the apocalypse. But do you understand that in a so-called civilization, including here in the United States of America, that can justify putting a man to death who didn't even pull the trigger simply because he was there, that can even on a greater scale justify killing humans in the wombs of pregnant mothers? With this level of fear already causing several constitutional and human rights to be violated, what is to stop them from at some point justifying and normalizing putting people in concentration camps, public executions for the the greater good of mankind? He or she was gonna spread the virus. They were contagious. We had to take expedient action to save the American public, or the local people. He has the plague. They said North Korea just reported their first coronavirus victim, and y'all can look this up, and that person was shot. Now, you expect something like that in North Korea. You don't expect it here in the United States. But when you combine what we know about these trigger-happy police that will already kill you at the drop of a dime, not all of them, but a lot of them will. You have a lot of them that have that us versus them mindset. You have a lot of them that think that badge gives them some type of superhero powers or some type of godlike complex over the rest of us. When you combine that with, these social media giants like YouTube and Facebook banning certain channels like Alex Jones simply because they don't like what he's talking about, you have the swelling of panic and fear from this, from this so-called coronavirus pandemic, okay, which is causing authorities at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to go into this authoritarian, really what could be characterized as a light form of martial law right now. San Francisco is under a form of martial law right now. Okay. And, the entire country is under a light authoritarian status right now, where the government officials are saying basically, do what we tell you to do and you'll live. Okay? You can see where this can quickly morph, or even slowly over time morph, into something far, far more sinister. Even if this is an act of nature, what people need to ask is, do they want their government to have this much control over their lives? Okay? The only reason why most people are not questioning this is because they're scared of the virus. The virus is the boogeyman right now. It's being painted as the boogeyman, whether it's the boogeyman or not. And nobody wants the boogeyman to creep into their room and make them or their family sick. So everybody's just complying with this. But nobody's asking if they can do a mandatory order of, telling you to stay in your home. What's to stop them from doing a mandatory order of setting up FEMA testing sites and, ordering people, everybody in the city, to go get tested, because we need to know how bad this virus is. And then you go get tested and you have coronavirus, cough, stay, say so. And then they say, well, we gotta take you and put you in a containment facility. And nobody ever hears from your ass again. And oh, by the way, you have coronavirus because we say you have coronavirus. Oh, because our tests say you have coronavirus. See, like I said, man, maybe I just think too much. I don't know. But I'm telling you, okay? I don't fully trust a fucking thing of anything that I'm hearing right now. Even if this is an act of nature, I just don't like what I'm seeing. And I think it's only a matter of time before one or two things happens. Either one, the American people turn completely into sheep, or two, they're going to be so damn tired of wearing face masks and, hearing coronavirus on the TV and radio, and, not being able to work, not being able to make money, not being able to go outside. They're basically going to do just what Mary Kate Elizabeth Winstead's character did in that Alien movie. I think it was The Fifth Wave. They're just going to take their gear off and just tell the government officials to go fuck themselves. You can't arrest all of us, and you can't force us to do shit because there's more of us than you. That would be the smartest thing to do. I mean, if they really try to clamp down, and, again, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe the best thing is to shelter in place. But, okay, that option should still be left up to the people. I don't like this. You just don't think for yourself. Just do what we tell you to do, and you'll be okay. We're like your mommy or your daddy. Just do it. We're the experts. And we know these so-called experts have gotten it wrong several times, even if there is a real pandemic. Remember when they said Ebola would never reach the shores of the United States back in 2017? And that shit did? Remember that? And there were a few Ebola outbreaks? Remember when they ordered people back up to the second tower? You had security guys actually blocking the elevators of the World Trade Center, second tower, the South Tower. And they told people to go back up to their offices, that the danger was in the North Tower, and that it would be more dangerous to go outside and try to flee the building because of falling debris. And a lot of them motherfuckers, they heeded those orders, went back up there and got killed, incinerated. This we're the government officials. We know what's best for you shit. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm going to do what the fuck I think is best for me. Even if there is a pandemic. Even if it gets me and I die. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I can't have my freedom, then I might as well not even have my life. Y'all need to think about that. Talk to you later, guys.